You gotta be obedient. If God is telling you to move, it's for a reason. It's for a reason. It is for a reason. So get up. Face your fear. Welcome back to Off the Dome with Coach Ash. I'm Ashley Major, a faith-based identity coach. And our topic today is the cost of staying longer than God told you to. All right, let's take a deep breath. Because this one, I'm sure many of us have experienced. I'm sure many of us have stayed much longer than God told us to. See, courage is not moving without fear. Courage is feeling the fear and still doing it anyway. I know sometimes the moves that God requires us to make, they seem daunting. There's a lot of anxiety surrounding it because what if it doesn't work out? But what if it does? And if God is telling you to move, then don't you think He knows that there's something better on the other side of your obedience? And there's always going to be tests and trials. When Jesus went up to the mountain, He had already said yes to the calling. And guess what happened? The enemy tried to tempt Him. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. So if Jesus was tempted right after being obedient to the calling, then who are you to feel like you won't come against some resistance? You're gonna come against resistance. That is a part of the natural design. But when you know who is with you, if you know that Christ is with you every step of the way, you shouldn't worry because He's gonna fight your battles. If you say rooted in His word, the Bible tells us that the weapon is our sword. If we know the Bible is our sword, then we should be wielding our sword every time we come against resistance, anytime we come against something that is bound to keep us down. There's going to be situations where you got to know when God is saying, keep going. There are going to be situations where it seems like the rug has been pulled up under you, but you got to get up and keep going. Because yea, though you walk through the valley of shadow of death, you should fear no evil because God is always with you. So the cost of not moving when God says to move is your mental freedom. It's your physical freedom. It's your emotional freedom. Because the longer you stay in a place that God does no longer want you to be, you keep yourself in bondage. And you feel the weight of that decision every single day. Because the question comes, what if I go? And then you try to envision what that yes would look like. But faith without works is dead. If you have faith in the Most High, if you have faith that God is able, if you have faith that all things are possible with Him, then move, take action, and trust God along the way. It's time to jump. And I'll give you this quick story and we'll close this out. Last year, I was in a position where I needed to move, but I really didn't want to. I was trying to figure out every avenue to stay where I was. And God sent one person to tell me a dream, and I missed it. I honestly missed it. She told me the dream, and she said, I see that you were moving. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then a month went by, and I was in this corner where I needed to move. I needed to, uproot myself, and I really didn't want it because I felt for the first time in a long time, I felt planted. With everything that went on years prior, this was the first time I felt like this is where I am supposed to be. And so I didn't want to lose that feeling. I remember one night, I wanted my knees on the side of my bed, and I was like, God, I said, you need to tell me what to do. I said, I'm fasting, I'm praying, I'm doing this in my own strength, but I need you to tell me. So I need you, these are my exact words. I said, Lord, send somebody tomorrow to tell me what to do. My spiritual mother called me, and she said, God told me to tell you, put your apartment in storage. I was like, yeah, I was thinking about it, but I said I'll give it until Monday to make a decision. Because at this point, I think it was like 3 o'clock before I spoke out, right? So the morning had already passed, and I already started to be like, okay, anyways, I ain't hear nothing from nobody yet. I ain't even given a full 24 hour. I ain't hear nothing from nobody yet. You know what? I am going to just wait. I'm going to wait until Monday. And so when she called me and told me that, believe it or not, I started to cry because that was not the answer I wanted to hear. Monday comes. Sunday night, I could not sleep. And so I remember this lady had posted on Instagram randomly that she was having a prayer call. And I don't know this lady from Adam, but I said, you know what, let me join this prayer call since I'm up. Joined the prayer call, and this lady called me out. Out of the 60 people that was on this call, she singled me out. And she said, I see God is telling you to move, but you're not listening. And He's saying, move. I don't know what that is all about, but He's saying move. And again, I said, I'll give it until Monday. And God sent a complete stranger 5 o'clock Monday morning to tell me, get your butt up and move. Go put your things in storage and move. And to this day, I tell people I live a nomadic lifestyle because God has not told me where to plant yet. So I'm living out of suitcases, right? And, I'm okay with that. It took me a while to become okay with that. But I knew when she said that God was adamant about me moving. He was like, it's time. And so I went and I got boxes and I started packing. By the end of the week, I was out of my apartment. But I say all that to say, there was some resistance for me. God was telling me to move, and had I not, I don't know what would have happened, but I knew that the urgency that God put behind it, even by sending a complete stranger on the very day that I told my spiritual mother that I'll have my answer, God was like, you need to get up. You need to be obedient. And this journey has yielded so many great rewards that I could not have imagined. But had I not been obedient, I would not have experienced any of this. I would have experienced turmoil. I would have experienced hardship. I would have been in financial debt. And so we gotta be obedient. If God is telling you to move, it's for a reason. It's for a reason. It is for a reason. So get up. Face your fear. Joshua 1:9 says, be strong and courageous. Ask God to be your strength, because in our weakness, He is strong. Take the leap, because for everything you do, there is a cost. Whether you be obedient or disobedient, there is a price that you pay. And I would rather pay the price of obedience, because on the other side of obedience is God's greatest reward. As I pray that you got value from this today, I pray that this message touched somebody. Drop a comment, drop a question if you have one to add to the bag, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Ta-ta.